This is Chad here with Somber Studios, and we are here with PyroTech03. So I'm just going to let you say, what do you do?
All right. Hello. I am Matthew Gurley at PyroTech03. I do for my channel. I do a lot of indie, lesser-known games and everything, and a little bit of big games like League of Legends or PUBG here and there. But I'm definitely a variety streamer. My big focus is I do run a gaming community Tenebration network, which we also have a Twitch for that, Obten network, which has a big focus on content creators of like YouTube, Twitch, Mixer, just about anywhere that you want to really design content for it, whether it's live streaming or video content centered around gaming, and bringing their communities together with other communities for the sake of helping everyone grow and get cross exposure to everyone.
Gotcha. Sounds awesome. So would you say that your main focus is the community building or your actual channel?
I love community building. I look for my stuff personally. They are really celebrating.
Yeah.
For my stuff personally, I figure like they're symbiotic to each other. Like I use my personal stuff to help the community grow along with it. Having that helps my channel grow as well.
Right. So what would you say, like, to somebody who wants to become part of a gaming community, like, how would you say to enter that? Because, like, I've seen a lot of people that are like, we're game developers, fellow game developers, they'll try to join a community, but it often just comes out as, buy my game, right?
Right.
So would you just recommend, kind of just joining, talking, not necessarily be focused if you're trying to sell something, to just hammer people with it? Like how would you say in general, like, someone would go about like joining a new like specific community?
From a game developer standpoint, like
sure.
If I know me personally, if I had game developers coming onto my community that were willing to put that kind of stuff, especially since we do focus on content creators, that's usually a godsend for these kind of communities, to be honest. So I don't really think that necessarily comes across as trying to like, hey, buy my stuff and everything.
Gotcha.
But like, as far as like the general, the best advice I usually give any of our content creators or anyone that's doing advice I use is just building real relationships. The term networking makes it sound like you're trying to use someone else for something.
Right.
If you're building actual relationships, like getting to know this person, what they do, what they represent, whether that's a streamer, a game dev, indie or larger, PR people, whatever it is, actually building a real relationship with these people goes much further than having 100 different hashtags on your Twitter.
Right.
A bunch of like just randomly posting into the Discord, like the only thing you post every week is, hey, buy my stuff or watch my Twitch, watch my latest YouTube video. But those real relationships would go much further than any of that.
Outside of what you just said, like legitimately becoming part of a community, building relationships, what else would you say to any sort of party, like Twitch streamer, game dev, whatever, who just wants to grow? Like what kind of tips would you give them, aside from like getting engaged in a community? Is there anything, is there a specific way that they should reach out to people, or?
When you're reaching out, especially if you're starting at ground level, 0 to 10 maybe followers because you got your best friends, and everything doing that. Understand that, like I said, this kind of goes back to the building relationship. You're not going to have a whole lot of value coming into any of those things. Like, you're not going to be able to go up to EA and say, hey, I'm a Twitch streamer. Can I get your latest Call of Duty to stream or something like that? Your best bet is to, like I said, build a relationship with their PR, build a relationship with whoever it is responsible for handing out those things. Get them to know you beyond just your numbers, to where you can actually have yourself as a value to sell, not just your statistics.
Right. What are some of the most memorable and fun things that you've experienced while community building? Or streaming, either one.
A lot of it's the people I've met and everything. Inadvertently through our community, ended up getting to very proxy take part in a guy, and he's a friend of mine now, but his child's birth, because we were on voice chat on Discord whenever his wife went into labor, and he had his phone on the Discord mobile voice and everything. And so she goes into labor, water breaks, and he shows his phone in his pocket and proceeds to go through. We had about a 4-hour voice chat before he finally realized what was going on. He's like, "Have you guys been hearing this whole thing?" I'm like, "Yeah, congratulations, man."
That is priceless. Oh my God, I don't know.
I think that's probably the most outlandish thing that I've got to come from it and everything.
Oh my God. It's killing me. It's killing me. Okay, what are some of your favorite games that you've played that people might not have heard of?
Right now, probably the big one that I'm really big into, and they're both roguelites, but 20XX, it is a roguelike inspired by the likes of Mega Man. Lots and lots of nods to that genre, and it's built around the idea of getting different power-ups, throughout your gameplay, the procedural generated levels. And then another one, it's called Drifting Lands. It's another roguelike. They took a side-scrolling bullet hell and meshed it with, as they describe it, meshed it with like a roguelike in Diablo 3. And that they have item building and everything that goes from that.
You definitely have my attention. That's amazing. Have you ever, in your course of community building, streaming, have you ever experienced, somebody or something really negative? And if so, how did you deal with that?
It depends on the level of toxicity. Mm-hmm. I know for like my personal channel, if I have someone like coming to try and troll me, like for me, I'm middle 30s, balding. So I've gotten a couple people that come in like, hey grandpa, or old man. And usually I'll sit there, and if they're not being like, your big ones like racist, sexist, any of the big ones there, if they're just trying to, get my goat and everything, I'll usually go along with them, because in my opinion, I have around 100 followers.
Okay.
So turning any activity in my Twitch chat, if you can turn into a positive, try. Those trolls, if they're talking in my chat, if I can turn that into at least something active for the the other people that are not active, that are not chatting, it's content. And I've had someone, like I was playing, I cannot remember the name, it was a horror game and everything, and someone was trying to comment on me being older than most of the streamers and everything. And I'm like, oh my God, you should see the hair cream, like making jokes about it and everything. And after about 5 minutes of him trying to do it, he's like, dude, you're cool. And he's like, and he straight out said, I was just trying to sit there and get a reaction out of you, but you just said that he followed me. He's one of he was my first sub.
Oh wow.
As far as communities though, you got to account for more than just yourself with that.
Yeah.
If you're in charge of moderating or running the community and everything, there's other people, like a bunch of other people. Like I said, at Tenebration Network, we're at around 80 people. That's 80 people's point of views that hopefully they mostly line up with our company, our community motto and everything, the ideals. But you do have to account for that, so you can't go as far as that and everything. But no matter what, if you got something that's just straight up toxic, straight up hateful, nip it in the butt right away.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with with banning someone. A lot of smaller streamers, smaller communities are afraid to do that kind of thing because they're like, hey, that's another number to get up. Like you're trying to hit that critical mass.
Yeah.
But there'll be others.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So it's a bit contextual.
Yeah.
If something's clearly over the line, then lay the hammer down. But if not, try to make it into a positive. And that's what I've heard from a lot of streamers, and I've heard other stories. I feel like I feel like as a streamer or as a game dev or anybody that's trying to get their name out there, like if you feed into the negativity, it's just going to make it worse for you, and that's how a lot of people end up just burning out and quitting. So I really love that approach of like trying to turn things into a positive.
Well, and also on top of that, I mean, it's more or less if it depends on the like for as a streamer or as a game dev too, I guess. It depends on the kind of community you want to grow, because your community will take examples based off your community leadership, if that's you as a streamer. So if you encourage or you go along with these trolls and everything, that's the kind of people you will attract. So make sure you take a conscious effort in how you're handling it and be consistent with it. That's the big parts there.
Wise words, wise words. All right, thank you so much for joining me as PyroTech03. I'm terrible with names. I had to look at his name tag. I'm the worst. I'll admit it. I know I'm not on camera, but I'll admit it. But thank you for joining me. Check him out. Check out his stream. Check out his community. Awesome. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome.